Farming mythics in D4 can be rough and take a lot of time.
What the?
Oh no, my 20,000 jobs and gazillion hemorrhoids will never let me play the game this much.
If you're a dogshit newbie, that is, and we can't have that. So when you're done watching this video, you'll be ready to deck yourself out in all the Ubers at once without any issues at all, because farming mythics has never been easier. Granted, you know what the hell you're doing. And despite this, I'm always getting comments about you goddamn idiots not finding them. So, let's get this video on with. But first, let's have a word from today's sponsor, Legacy with its steel and sorcery.
My legacy.
I've been playing this game for the last couple of days and it's actually excellent.
Sup, bitches?
In short, it's an extraction game with both PvE and PvP. You're running around the map farming shit with one of your classes, gathering equipment and loot. You then get yourself decked out and prepare to slap some newbies in the face. The fun part is that if you kill someone, then that person is fucked. And you can in turn grab all of their items, progressing your own character instead. When it comes to the gameplay, it's hella smooth. It feels a lot like playing an MMO, just less tedious due to not being forced to use a gazillion buttons, making the game perfect for my brain, melted dad gamer ARPG players as well. Legacy is just now hitting early access, and you bet I'll continue playing it. You can find a link to the game in the description, and it's currently cheaper than 2 Big Macs. So you fat-ass boomers can keep munching up your entire salaries without any issues. Check it out. And let's continue with the mythic farming. For starters, what is actually the fastest way to farm mythics? Well, shit. You won't like it, but it's like everything else in life. You whip out a fat wallet and you'll get anything you want. Okay, so assuming you don't want to swipe mythic materials, then what is the next best option? Alright, now we're talking. To save ourselves crazy amounts of time, we're going to utilize a few third-party websites. And first off, we want our Diablo.trade website. Familiarize yourself with this, because unless you enjoy dragging your balls through useless crap activities in the game, then you'll need this. And the second best way to get yourself some Uber materials is simply to head on over to the Durial Set tab, where people are selling complete sets that you can purchase. But holy shit, 100 million per set? Or well, 30 million now that some losers duped thousands of mats. That's hella expensive. Yeah, so to utilize this best strategy, you have to be swiping, or you need to familiarize yourself with this website and start selling items, which is why I'm recommending you to get used to it right away. And when it comes to materials that are not for the fat diabetic or andarial, you'll simply use the boss material tab here and grab what you need. Alright, so let's assume you don't have any gold, and you lost all of your money in divorce or medical bills, treating your diabetes or whatever. What do you do now? Glad you asked, because rather than dragging this video out and showing you my tips from worst to best, I'm doing it the other way around, best to worse. And next on the list, we have the Services tab on the same website. Now this, my friends, is how I've decked myself out in Ubers at the start of every goddamn season, and is the reason I'm always starting a season off by playing a meta build before I swap to do the fun stuff. Because we want to be able to boost newbies and one-shot the Ubers. Because, as you can see here, what are the people selling Durial boosts for? Somewhere between 50 to 100 million, and doing a bit of quick math, what does that amount to if you bring 3 additional people? If you said a buttload of gold, then you're indeed correct. And what should we do with the buttload of gold? Yes, my friend, correct again, we're using it to buy Durial sets. At the start of a season, I can always make a bunch of gold doing this while at the same time getting my mythics. Later on in the seasons when people are decked out, I may be able to only break even and still get my mythics. And the reason this works is simply because people swipe and buy boosts, which we'll take advantage of. Okay, so let's assume you don't want to do this. It's a bit scummy, and when the seasons drag on there, will be fewer people using this website. You now need a bulletproof strategy that always works despite the season being dead and you being broke as shit. And now, my friends, we are going to actually farm for materials. And there are a few ways to farm that are just way faster than anything else, where the best way is to utilize these things. The Tribute of Titans. These things drops like fucking candy from the uber bosses. Not quite sugary enough to sustain boss materials, but absolutely enough if you run them in a group. Meaning all you need to do is run the uber bosses in a group, get your Tribute of Titans, and run them in a group as well. And you've got a fully sustainable and fast loop of unlimited uber kills. There are only two problems with this strategy. One, you need the expansion because the Undercity is expansion only. So you'll have to take a day off from splurging cash on OnlyFans to get this strategy up and running. And secondly, you need people to play with. If you have friends, then good for you. If not, then using the Party Finder is the only option. Go to the Undercity section and look for tribute runs, or make one yourself and you're done to go. Just be aware. The average player here is about as intelligent as a bucket of cottage cheese. It's a fair warning. This is also why I'm recommending the Diablo Sanctuary Discord when it comes to actually finding uber boss rotation groups, as the people there are not forced to share one brain cell. You'll also find my own Discord in the description. Just try to restrain yourself from submitting dick pics. We already have a guy for that. All right. Now let's assume you don't have any gold friends, the expansion, or all the other things we've covered. What do you do now? Well, shit, sorry to say. But the only thing left to do is to manually farm the materials. This season, we're at least somewhat fortunate to find a bunch of boss materials when doing the purple hell tides. These are the only things I've done to farm materials this season, along with some hell tides. Because it so happens that you'll obtain a heavy surplus of the malignant hearts if you do this, and the best way to obtain living steel for Grégoire and exquisite blood for Batman is to run hell tides and the Blood Maiden and nightmare dungeons for the distilled fears, which you'll need for Beast in the Ice. Now, I don't want to drag this video out longer than necessary, but I've got some massive tips that you need to know when it comes to the uber bosses. First off, let's just quickly see where you find them. Personally, I'm demented as shit and need to remind myself where they are each season. So here they are. Grégoire can be found in the northwest in Hall of the Penitent. The Fat Diabetic is down south in Gaping Crevasse. Close to the Fat Diabetic you have Andariel, which I never run, and northeast you have the Glacial Fissure with Beast in the Ice and the Batman for Lord Zier. And finally, Varshan can be found in the Gaping Asshole in Tree of Whispers. With that out of the way, onto my top tip, and that's the max roll site for the regular uniques. Because each uber boss has its own loot table, and here you'll find what each boss drops, meaning you know exactly where to target farm everything you need for your builds. You'll simply control F, and you know where you can find it. Pretty great, huh? Damn right. And for the final tip of the day, we have the Resplendent Sparks. By the blacksmithing guy, you can craft yourself an uber for 2 sparks. Which one you get will be random. If you want to select which one you need by yourself, then you'll have to go to the gem guy and throw in a bunch of insanely expensive rune words on top of that, which I'm assuming most of you can't afford unless you're swiping or trading. But using the randomized mythic caches is at least a start. And this season, you're able to get 1 spark from killing Lilith, and it doesn't matter which torment tier you're on, by the way. Unfortunately, you can't make several characters this season and get a spark each time. I've tried. The next spark you can grab is from the Seasonal Journey, which is pretty rough this season. I still need a few points myself to get this shit done with. The third spark is from the reputation system Coven's Favor, which I'm not done with either, as I've been playing different characters, and this thing takes fucking forever. And for the final spark, we have the Lunar event, which ends February 18, which is by far the easiest to get the final spark, making you sad if you've missed it already. Alright, that's all for this one. Now go farm some mythics, you lazy bastard.